We've been going through draft prospects all week, looking at the top players at each position that could be there for the Chicago Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to start looking at sleepers around it, not just focusing on one position, but sleepers that could be on the Chicago Bulls board coming into this draft process. We'll do that today, and we'll do that tomorrow. We're also going to talk about the Josh Giddey contract saga, even though it should not be one, and why. I'm ready for it to be over. We're going to get into all that and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today, y'all. I want to start off talking about the Josh Giddey thing, right? Like, of course, because a new report came out that Josh Giddey reportedly is seeking 5 years, $150 million. That naturally it came down to, once again, most people looking at it and saying, "Oh my God, Josh Giddey once again. Oh my God, the contract, the Bulls can't afford it." And I just want to debunk something, right? Like, first off, let's just start off debunking a few things, right? No. Putting Josh Giddey, even if he does get $30 million, it's nothing similar to Zach LaVine's max contract. It's not. First of all, that's not even the max that Josh Giddey can get. I think there is a kind of misrepresentation from some fans that think that the $30 million is Josh Giddey trying to get his max. It's not. It's not the max that he can offer. It's not even near it, really. Honestly, Josh Giddey is coming to the table, if that is what's happening, and put a big if there. He is coming to the table looking at what other people around his draft class and around his position have gotten, and he's looking at it at a market value. I think that's the first misconception. This isn't Josh Giddey looking at it and saying, "Oh my God, I need the absolute max. I don't want to hear nothing else." That's not what this is. This is him coming to the table for about $12 million or so less than what he could get max-wise. Now, the question with that is that, and Josh Giddey wouldn't be worth it. I want to be clear there. Again, Josh Giddey stands if you don't want to hear it. I hate to tell y'all that he wouldn't be worth the $40 million. Now, for Josh Giddey haters, I hate to tell y'all this, he is worth the $30 million. You people who want to keep going to, oh my God, he was unplayable in the playoffs. That's incorrect. He was unplayable in one series because also it was the fact that it wasn't just him. You look at also Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams, who hit their wide open three-point shots at 27 and 28% on wide open threes in that series. Of course, somebody like Josh Giddey, who is a limited player as far as his own offense, he needs that spacing to be out there and to play well. And let's also be clear, Josh Giddey never got to play the style that best suits him on that team. For the people that like to go out and say, "Well, if he couldn't do it on a better team, why can't he do it here?" You idiots, watch actual basketball. That is such a lazy conversation to have when you can have legitimate conversations about his style of play, those type of things, and say, "Well, if he couldn't do it on that team, he can't do it anywhere." It's stupid. Like that is such the low-hanging fruit to try to have that conversation on, and it really screams a lot of y'all don't understand the game of basketball outside of base level. And that's perfectly fine. That is most basketball fans that I would say that. So I think that's the thing, right? Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it, right? Outside of that, you then have the fans that say, "Well, let the market set its value. Go out there and here's the thing. I hate to tell y'all this, but you can't make a player go out and negotiate with another team. You can't. Now, the Bulls can sit down with Josh Giddey and they can negotiate with him, and he can say, "Hey, this is what I want to get paid. What are you guys willing to do?" And I think the Bulls should go into those negotiations, and they should. Like, any good negotiator is going to go and say, "Hey, this is the number that we have you at. This is where you are at. Let's meet somewhere in the middle. How do we get there? What do we need to do to get there? Is it putting bonuses in your contract that could get you to where you want to? What kind of insurances?" Those type of things. To say that conversation needs to happen, great. But I hate to tell y'all, the people that have now hung on this, will make them go out and find another deal. That would be kind of more apt if Josh Giddey finished the season in a bad place, right? Like, you can't make that happen. And even if he did, let's say he did go out there to the Brooklyn Nets, unless he signs an offer sheet, you're not going to know what the fuck happened anyway. Like Josh Giddey and his agent could very well sit down with the Brooklyn Nets. They could sit down and say, hey, listen, before you talk to the Bulls, just want to kind of see like what that would be there. They could be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we got the cap space. We'd be willing to sign you for 26. They can say, oh, okay, cool. They can still go back to the Bulls and say, listen, the Brooklyn Nets, they only wanted to give 26. They don't even have to be front coming with that. They can be like, yeah. So $30 million. I think people kind of have to understand what the actual way that this isn't 2K. Like this isn't where you sit down and you're like, offer, and somebody's like, oh yeah, take it, or like it's not that, right? And so it seems like, and I'm not saying all fans, but it seems like some fans have this thing made up in their mind that they want to either it's a humbling thing or just to feel like something happened, and it's not. Like have people thought about that he could go to Brooklyn and they could offer more with incentives and things like that? There's a lot of things that can go down there, so it's not as simple as, oh, we'll make him go out and find his deal. Like, I get the thought process behind it, and I want to be clear here. I'm not saying that the Bulls should just be like, oh, that's what you want, Giddy? Here, we got it for you. Let's go. Let's shut up, right? No, negotiate. But for the people that think, and I've actually had these conversations with some Bulls fans on Twitter of all places, right? When you have these extended conversations, you just realize some of these people really think like it's like this thing where it's like, oh yeah, no other team, so that means he's going to take $18 million. It's like, no, you're stupid. Now, let's say this, right? And I want to be clear here. For the people that have the legitimate concerns, right? The people that have actually put in some thought process behind it and brain power, and they say, well, okay, maybe 25 to 26, 28 million-ish, it is. Okay, great. Like, that's cool. But it doesn't drastically change things. Like the Bulls' financial situation and outlook, the fact that if paying Josh Giddey and Kobe, it's not going to change very much. Saving $5 million on a team that, even after signing Josh Giddey and Kobe, let's say they re-sign them for a combined $70 million. I'm just saying if, right? We don't know those exact numbers, but let's say if. Let's say Giddey gets 30, Kobe gets 40. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't necessarily think those are numbers, but let's just say if there, right? The Bulls would still then have over $90 million in cap space in the summer of 2026 to work with. So no, this is not the Zach LaVine situation. For once, and I get it, it does not happen very often, but for once in our history, in our lives, the Chicago Bulls are not right up against the luxury tax. They're not. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't still need to make smart moves. They do. That doesn't mean that giving Josh Giddey money is still not a risk. It is, right? And I want to be clear on all those things. All those things are still a factor, and I'm not saying anything against those parts. I'm just saying for the people that just think that magically you're going to get bailed out, like, no, it's a chance. They just have to negotiate. And they just have to negotiate, figure out a deal. And I understand this part as well. I am worried as well of AK's ability to negotiate. You sat down with P. Will and you thought to give him $19 million. And now you reportedly want to move him a year afterwards, right? So I understand all that thing. I just think, like I said, I am specifically talking to a smaller part of the community. I'm not saying anybody that has concerns over the Josh Giddey contract and if you can live up to it. I'm not saying that you're wrong for having that. Not at all. I understand that. Hell, you'll be right to have those concerns about anybody, whether it be injury, whether it be anything, you're right to have those concerns. I'm not. So again, this isn't to say anybody that has a concern over what Josh Giddey's deal and what the performance could be, hey, have that. It is what it is there. He's going to have to prove it all out on the court. But I think people are going to have to come to the realization that more than likely, Giddey's going to get his money. Is it the Bulls that give him that money? Maybe. And for the people that say things, I've seen people say things as stupid as, oh, he should just sign the qualifying offer and then we still can give him an extra year more than anybody else if he hits the open market. Yeah, but I tell you what, the Bulls franchise and the way that this franchise operates, if Josh Giddey has a great season next year on a qualifying offer, you might as well prepare to lose him. I don't care if he has the extra year or not. You might as well prepare to lose him at that point in time because, again, we already seen his comment on IG after the Peter Patton firing. You know, I already kind of set yourself off in a bad precedence there. So we'll see how things shake out. But let's get into the draft analysis. It's one of my favorite parts of the offseason every single year. So we're going to talk about sleepers in this draft. The first one that I want to talk about, and this is one that people have asked about, is Will Riley, 6'8", small forward out of Illinois. And no, I'm not just putting him on here because he's Illinois guy. Put him on here because he's a forward, and put him on here because people have specifically asked me about Will Riley. But with that said, Will Riley, what could he be a sleeper pick here for the Chicago Bulls? And here's the thing that I say on that. I don't think so. He's slated to go lower in the first round. While at 19 years old, he does have some really good things, really good pull up. He moves off ball well. He has a really good, I think ability to come off screens and pin downs and things like that. The pull up threat, his pull up game is crazy, right? It like those shots that he can have on coming off that, not needing much space, is absolutely crazy when it comes down to it. He is a shooting threat all over the court, and I think that's a really good thing for him and a player of his type of makeup. Will Riley can perform. Now the question is how high. He has a low ceiling, but and a low floor as well. But I think that the way that I communicate that is that I could completely see Will Riley turning into a perfectly competent bench player at the NBA. Let's keep in mind as well, he only started 9 games last year. And for my Bulls fans that have already gotten some PTSD from drafting somebody who didn't start a lot, look at that. But he did average 12.6 points. He did that on 43% shooting, 32% shooting from 3. 4 rebounds per game. So Will Riley's solid. But to me, there's so many prospects that should be head and shoulders above Will Riley that he's probably going to be a streaky shooter. How much he can develop and work on his 3 is going to be a thing. But listen, he's a tough son of a bitch. Make no mistake about that, right? And he could be a fit for some really good teams as far as getting some bench production. I don't know if I project him as a starter, but I do think he has a nice combination of his fluid mobility, his strength that he does have, positional strength, and his height as well. He's going to get an opportunity in the NBA. When you look at some of the comps for him, Nikola Jovic is a comp for him, which I think is good. Kevin Martin is a comp for him. Quincy Miller has been a comp for him as well, right? So he's a guy that I can see him being a solid NBA player, but just solid. I don't think he's going to be great, but then again, you never know. Could he be a G.G. Jackson, right? That really steps up in the NBA game, kind of just fits him. He's on a team that fits, maybe something like that. But overall, I think that he's a solid player, but he's not one that I would really see for the Chicago Bulls. Even if they were to go small forward, I wouldn't see that personally. But all right, let's get into the next guy for this Bulls team, and that is Danny Wolf. Shout out to Eco Bean, who brought up Danny Wolf. And the thing with Danny is that this is a guy that compares to Mo Wagner. He's a really good NBA prospect. I want to be clear here. Danny Wolf is really good. The problem is that there's so many people that have higher ceilings than Danny Wolf, and I just don't think so. He brings all the things you want offensively: ball handling, playmaking, ability to shoot, to guard a power forward Anderson. He has a lot of those things when it comes down to it. 7 feet, 250 pounds, legit center right away. I said this over on Locked On Bulls. I like Danny Wolf as a player. If the Bulls were picking more towards 18, 20, Danny Wolf would probably be one of the number 1 players on my board at that point in time. But the defense that you need, that's the part that's going to be shaky for him at the NBA level. You look at some of the comps to him. Hedo Turkoglu is a comp for him. Maxi Kleber is a comp for him as well. Like I said, Mo Wagner is another comp for him. And I do think that Danny Wolf is going to have a solid NBA career. I want to make no mistake about that. I think it's just when you go into the draft, you're either looking at high floor, and I think you look at high floor more when you're already a team that has your star. The Bulls don't. And so they're going to be looking at high upside regardless of position of need too, right? So while he fits a position of need, there are players with way higher upside than that. And, it is what it is. I think, too, his navigation on the pick and roll isn't necessarily the best. It's not the worst either. I do think he's not like Vooch, where he's not going to play just in drop coverage. That's not going to be the thing there either for him. He's very young, very, very young, too. And I think his high motor points to him being a player that's going to work at the NBA level. I see him being one of those players that he may never be a great on-ball defender, but I think he's going to be a solid defender because of the effort that he gives and the fact that he doesn't back down, right? So I think that he's 64% from the free throw line in his career. So you want to look at that as well. That may be a concern when it comes down to it. I don't think that Danny Wolf becomes a star. but I do think he has a chance to become a solid NBA player with a dynamic offensive game, especially depending on how and the way that the rest of the team fits and how you play your offense. He's not one of those players like Zach Giddey where you got to commit to playing old school basketball. He's not that at all. He's not maybe not thrive in a more high up-tempo offense either, but I like Danny Wood. He has some inconsistencies, but I think when you look at everything he has, the total package really when it comes to offensively. But again, just because you have the total package, skill set and caliber are different. The caliber in which he's going to be able to do that against certain NBA players, that remains to be seen, but he has those raw skills. And he's a player that I do think, especially like people, if he goes in like the 20s, I think he's gonna more than outwork that draft level for his position. I think people are gonna look at him and be like, hey, you got him in 21, 22, and he's gonna be a damn good player for you. I think he's gonna live up to that. And like I said, I like him as a player. Doesn't mean I necessarily like him as much for the Bulls as some of the other options, but we shall see. All right, let's get into the next player I want to talk about. That's Liam McNeely. We know that the Bulls do have a meeting scheduled with him. I think they're scheduled to meet with him today. And the guy, like Liam McNeely, everything that you want shooting the ball. Like catch and shoot, three points coming off screens. He moves off ball really well, 6'7", 19 years old. This is a guy that, again, as far as shooting, he brings everything that you want. He even has some ball handling capability as well. I like Liam McNeely, but much like with Danny Wolf, I like him, and I said that before, like he could be your long-term Kevin Huerter, for example, and I think he can be better at what Kevin Huerter did in some areas for this team for sure, but I still look at it and I say, all right, like I like Liam McNeely. He comps to Corey Kispert, like, and I think that's a player that can be good. He's athletically, he's average. Shooting-wise, he's advanced, but I still look at it and say, this is a player that I just don't see the Bulls drafting. I don't see the need there, right? I think also that he has more of an inside the arc game than some people are giving him credit for. He has a floater. He has some things like that. I actually like him in those cases. His handles, decent. Like when he has to put the ball on the floor, it's decent. I don't think you want him to dribble too much. Like if he starts dribbling too much, some mistakes could happen and the defenders could close out on him. But overall, I like Liam McNeely, and I think he's a solid prospect in this draft if you were picking lower. And because the Bulls are picking 12th, that's where it separates a lot of this at, right? And again, upside. But I think he does have some really good upside as well. I want to be clear there. Liam McNeely has upside. I just don't know how much he's going to be able to maximize on that. He's going to have to put on some weight, improve his body a little bit. But Liam McNeely is a legit NBA prospect. Make no mistake about it. This may not be for the Chicago Bulls, is what it comes down to. But let me know what you guys think on that one down below. The next player that I want to talk about is a guy that has been brought up. People have asked. I didn't cover him in the guards because there's just some guards above him that I didn't get to do. I did cover Trey Johnson mainly because of the Bulls having a meeting scheduled with him, so that's why I didn't cover this player there. If I didn't cover Trey Johnson, which was originally I wasn't going to cover him, but because of the way that things worked out, I did. But Walter Clayton Jr., even though the Bulls don't need a guard, make no mistake about it, they don't need one at all. They don't need one. But when you look at Walter Clayton and what he was able to do, 6'3", 22 years old, 195 pounds, this is a guy that is a pull-up threat. He can stretch the floor. He scores out on the perimeter really well. His off-ball defense is really good, above average in this class. He has really good ball handling. And to me, Walter Clayton screams to me a player that he could end up turning into maybe a starter depending on how your team works out. But I think I'll look at him and I say this is a player that is tailor-made to be a bench guard for you. I think he could be a really good bench guard for you. Now, he has drawn some comps to Jamal Murray, Keontae George, those type of players. And I think that, those are solid comps. Again, comps play style and skill, not necessarily caliber of player, right? But Walter Clayton is a player that I like. I don't love Walter Clayton, but I don't hate Walter Clayton. And I would think that if you could get him, for example, in the second round, I think he's a perfect bench, like I said, off the bench guard for you that could start for you in some scenarios. I definitely think that. But I think he's going to go in the lower end of the first round. He could be pushed into the second round with some of the risers that we're hearing about over the draft as well. But overall, I think when you look at it, his age, his upside, that's going to limit where he's drafted at. But I think that this guy is really good. He's a threat to score all over the court. He's a workhorse. He's tough. He's a solid guard as well. He's the type of guards that I really do like. I want to make no mistake about it. I just think that, guards also not being a kind of a focus by the Bulls, but then on top of that, like a bench guard, if they do think about moving on from Io, but that's if he was there in the second round, which I don't think he will be, but that's Walter Clayton. The last player that I want to talk about here in the sleepers, and then tomorrow we will get into Maxime Ronald, and we will get into Rocco. We will get into him as well. We'll get into those players on tomorrow's episode with the mailbag, so look out for that. But Hugo Gonzalez, for those that have been watching us all season, I've been bringing up Hugo Gonzalez literally since the start of the season. 19 years old, Spanish guard. This is a guy that I think you look at and you're like, hey, I really like this kid's game. I love Hugo Gonzalez's game. And I said it before. I said it early into the draft process. I'm going to say it again here. I think that Hugo Gonzalez still has the chance to be one of the best two-way players to come out this draft. He did play over in Spain, which already leaves him to not kind of be talked about as much as some of the other prospects. 6'6", 200 pounds. He can play the 2. He can play the 3. He can shoot all over the court. He can put the ball on the floor. He's a really active defender as well. He still needs to work on his defense, make no mistake about it. I'm not going to talk about him as if he's like some perfect defender yet. He's going to have to, like how he adjusted the NBA game is going to be really good, a really big story to see from him over the next couple of years. But Hugo Gonzalez is a good basketball player. Make no mistake about it. He is a really good basketball player with a really good upside as well. Hugo Gonzalez, he's projected to be towards the end of the first round. He has a strong handle. He's known for his defense, athleticism, the ability to finish around the rim. The NBA handle is going to be something that he's going to have to learn from, but this is a high motor player as well. The offensive upside, the passer that he is, as well as also being a scorer. I love Hugo Gonzalez. And if he falls to the second round, he's a player that I will look at and say, I will really be interested in trading up in the second round because the Bulls don't pick the 40, 45, to trading up in the second round and trying to get him. He has shooting upside, 27% from 3, but I think he still has the ability to still grow there. 77% from free throw range, a little bit of concern, especially for a guard as well. But listen, he's one of those players that hasn't played a lot for his foreign team. He is a foreign player as well, but I do think he has tremendous upside. But that's my list. Let me know some of the sleepers in this draft for you guys as well. Make sure you're following us at Bull Central Pod. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like we like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.